I'm about to break down how we use these simple Instagram ads to pull in 47 qualified book calls into the calendar in just 7 days. So this will be perfect for you if you're struggling to book calls for your online service-based business consistently, or the calls that you're booking are just tire kickers and they're wasting your time. So the crazy thing is with these ads, they are stupidly simple ads. They actually don't look like ads. We did not have any video editors put these together. There was not a lot of production. We want them to look just like a piece of content. That is the first foundational principle, is that people don't want to be sold to, right? So if you can have an ad that has the right messaging, that speaks to the right person, where they're in the position where they're already willing to buy, then your ad will perform so much better. So if you're struggling to make ads crack, this is going to be so valuable for you because you're probably speaking to the wrong type of person and you're putting ads in front of them in the wrong way. So I want to break this down here. As you can see, like we've got 47 booked into the calendar. That could mean dust, right? Like who cares? They could just be all unqualified and not show and not buy, right? These are highly vetted, highly qualified calls. We only have people booking into this calendar when they are financially qualified. This is so cheap as well. Like to get calls booked in for $19 is unheard of, but we've been able to do this because we have the right messaging. So you can see here with the application form, this is in the Slack channel that we put together for our clients. And this person, just as an example, said that they're willing to invest $5,000. And the people who say that they're not willing to invest, we disqualify them. So these are all highly qualified. They have some type of capital that they're willing to invest in themselves. And I'll pull up our client Slack channel here. You can see this. This is from the 22nd of Jan, right? So all the way down, there's a number of organic in here as well. But just like, it's the 29th today. So 7 days. And people are just flooding in. So it comes down to the right messaging. Messaging is key. If you have the wrong messaging, you're going to have a really hard time with ads, and you have to figure out how to find the right messaging quickly because it doesn't always happen straight away. But there's some principles that you can follow, which I'm about to break down, to put you in the best position possible to find winning messaging quickly. So what we have to understand is that not everyone is going to be in the position where they want to buy. This is from Sabri Subri's book, Sell Like Crazy. And I want to break this down for you. So you can see here that only 3% of people are in the position where they're willing to buy. That is a really small amount of people in comparison, like for a percentage, right? 17% are in information gathering mode, 20% are problem aware, and then 60% are not even aware that they have a problem. So to make your job easier as a coach or as an online service provider, wouldn't it make sense to only speak to the people who are in the position where they're willing to buy? Think about like, if you're in a massive market, 3% could be more than enough people that you need to buy your program, product, or service, right? Like that can make you millions and millions of dollars. So you're probably wasting your time and wasting your ad spend by trying to speak to people who aren't even aware of the problems that they have, or you're trying to sell them through agitate their problem and then get them through the information gathering mode and then push them up here. That is ineffective. That is going to take so long and you're wasting money. If you have maximized a market where you notice that there's discrepancies in your ad spend and your CAC and all these different metrics, right? Then it might make sense to start to speak to a unaware or like a problem aware or an unaware audience, because then you have a wider amount of people. As you can see here with the pyramid, there is so many more people here in this type of market, but the caveat to that is that it is so much more difficult and there's such a longer sales process to push them through to get them up to the point where they're ready to buy. So if you are on smaller ad spend, why would you not just speak to the people who are in the position where they're willing to buy? It's going to make your job so much easier. So this bleeds into the same concept that I've talked about a number of times on this channel, which is the stages of awareness, the levels of awareness by Eugene Schwartz. We have 5 levels: most aware, product aware, solution aware, problem aware, unaware. The more unaware they are, the more cold they get. So again, why would you speak to people who are unaware? You want to speak to people who are already in the position where most of the selling is done for you, right? You just have to push them over the line. I'm going to show you through a script how we have done this, right? So you can see here on this line here, we've got this directness scale. Most aware is where you're more direct because most of the selling is done for you. This is where people are often like comparing the product and the price to others. So you're wanting to speak to this market, okay? So you're wanting to speak to this market and this market here, and also a little bit of this market, okay? So this is where the warm audience is, down here. This is the area that you're wanting to align your messaging to. So if you are speaking to people who are solution, product, and most aware, one of the most effective ways to do this is to highlight an old way and a new way. So if we pull up this, if I can find this here, I don't think I have it. Let me find where it is. Here it is. So I'll pull this over. This is the psychological belief chain that you have to build in your ideal client's mind, right? You have to show them that you understand their current situation. So you have to speak their language. Then you have to show them how their current way of doing things is outdated. So you can throw rocks at approaches that they are trying to use to be able to solve the problems that they have. So they're already aware of the problem. They're trying to solve this problem. That means that they're up in, if I pull this across, hold on one sec. That means that they're in the solution aware market, right? So let's pull it up here. They're in the solution aware market because they are looking for solutions to solve their problem. So you don't have to sell them on like the problem that they have. You can just reframe the problem that they have and introduce a new solution. And this is where you can introduce your unique method as the only solution to solve the new problem that you're introducing, right? So they're aware of the problem. You then shift their perspective by saying you're solving the wrong problem. That's not the problem. This is the problem. And the way that you solve this new problem is through your unique method, right? So it's just giving people a better way. This is one of the most powerful things in marketing, is to show how there is a better way to do something. People only take action on something, or like if they purchase something, if they feel like there is a easier, like there's a perceived ease of implementation, there is a decreased time delay, like there's less time that they have to take to get the desired outcome. And there's also less sacrifice or risk or effort, right? So those are the three core things. So if you can wrap that up in a new way and show them how there is a new way that is better than the approach that they're currently using, then they're going to be intrigued, right? You're speaking their language and you're introducing something that they haven't heard of before. So they're solution aware. They're problem aware, they're looking through solutions. You then have to shift their beliefs to show them how your product is superior to other solutions that solve the problem that they're trying to solve. Okay, so I'm going to go into an example of this in just a second. But this is so powerful. This is how you can get results like this, without having crazy editing or insane, hooks and all this stuff that's like just jargon. It really just comes down to the right messaging, right? Speaking the language of the ideal client. So I want to break down a script here that I used. It's not the same script that brought in these, but this has brought in thousands of leads, over 200 bookings in just a couple months, right? A few months. It's probably like 4 or 5 months. Even still, this is so powerful. So I'll pull this up here and let me get this. So you can see here with the hook, what we're doing is we're creating curiosity, but we're speaking to people who are already aware. So this is for a leadership coaching offer. And how we've positioned this just right off the bat is leadership is more competitive than ever. So what this does, it is speaking to people who are either in leadership roles or are actively pursuing leadership roles. Because if you're just an employee or you're just a shift worker or a part-time worker, this isn't going to resonate. You're not going to watch more of this because it doesn't align with you, right? So that's good. We want to push away people as much as we want to attract people, because when we have a hook that disqualifies people on the front end, and let's say that, we've got a nurse that sees this ad, we've got a garbage man that sees this ad, we've got and then like 3 leaders that see this ad, right? The garbage man and the nurse is going to hear this hook and scroll. But the leaders will watch for maybe 3, 4, 5 more seconds, ideally through the whole thing, but they'll watch at least a little bit longer because we're speaking their language. Facebook sees that. Meta sees that. And they find more people that are likely to engage. So they're going to find more people that are like the leaders. And more often than not, they're going to be other leaders. So you want to disqualify people on the front end as well as qualify people. Okay, so that's what we've done here. Not only that, we've also tapped into an overarching consensus that the leaders can relate to. So leadership is more competitive. Leaders experience that, right? They experience the competitive nature naturally because leadership is, there's tiers, right? There's only a handful of leaders. There's only one CEO. There might be a handful of board of directors. There might be a couple managers, right? So it is naturally finite. So it's going to be competitive. So we've tapped into that. They agree with that. Now we've qualified them and they agree with what we've said. Plus we're only targeting Australia, right? So now we're talking really to their language. We're talking specifically about the location that they're in. So this hook worked really well and it's for female leadership, right? So we could have said female leadership is more competitive than ever in Australia. We've just kept it as leadership is more competitive in Australia, but then we've qualified here where it's we're talking about women, okay? So then what we've gone into, and this creates curiosity, okay? So that's one of the core components of an ad is creating curiosity. Then we've gone into, but the women rising fastest are using something called identity anchoring. So what we've done here is we've extended the curiosity. We've tapped into a desire of what they want. They want to rise fast, and they want to be like the women that are rising fast. And these women that are rising fast are using this mechanism, right? This is a mechanism that we've created. So now there's even more curiosity because these benefits that we're tapping into here, rising fast, are attributed to this thing, right? That they don't know because we've made this mechanism up. So now they're like, shit, what is identity anchoring? Now we go into what they're doing wrong, right? So we're speaking to the actions that they're already taking. We're not selling people on how they should become a leader. Why would we do that? We want to talk to people who are already wanting to become a leader. And we're going to tap into what they're doing wrong. So like we've done here, we're going the outdated way, what they're doing wrong in terms of their approach, but also their mindset and the actions that they're taking. So now while everyone else is fighting for the same positions by doing more, proving themselves and pushing harder, let them. Because this new style of leadership is putting women in the perfect position to step into C-suite roles. So this new style of leadership, we're creating this new way. It's better. It sounds like there's something new for them to try that they haven't tried before. We're showing them almost how it's not their fault. It's let these women do these things, right? Push harder, fight, they're fighting for the same positions. Let them, because this new style of leadership is putting women in the perfect position, and then we tap into a desire to step into C-suite roles. And then there's a very powerful marketing concept where you use without statements, because this then, like I said earlier, it reduces the perceived risk or the sacrifice or effort that's associated with getting the desire. So we then say, without burning out or becoming someone they're not. And we got this information by doing market research. We understood that, female leaders are trying to juggle a family, they're trying to progress in their career, and it's very difficult, and oftentimes they burn out. And they feel like if they want to lead, they have to be someone they're not. They have to be a masculine leader who pushes people and directs. But we're saying, no, you don't have to do that. So we're reducing the amount of sacrifice that they have to have, and we're making them feel like they can do this, right? It's not about force, right? So that's what was it's not about force. This is a common belief that they think leadership is. It's about, and we're introducing a new way. So it's not about that, it's about this. It's about emotional authority, presence, and inner alignment. This is what they want. We did market research on this as well. Identity anchoring, now we're describing the mechanism itself. So it's what the mechanism is. Identity anchoring rewires how you see yourself so that you can lead with calm conviction, inspire teams naturally, and attract opportunities without chasing them. So we're tapping into all these desires here, these benefits of identity anchoring. So all these benefits here are attributed to identity anchoring, but they still don't really know what it is other than that it rewires how you see yourself, right? So we're still just riding the wave of this curiosity, because if people have all of their answers before the ad finishes, why would they take the next step? You want to keep open loops. You want to keep open loops so that what you're pushing them to, whether it's to follow your page or to send you a DM or to watch a VSL or to opt into a lead magnet, there has to be curiosity. They have to feel like they're going to get that next step through taking that next action that you're getting them to take. So identity anchoring, and then we've got these benefits associated with it. Again, another without statement. So we're reducing the perceived effort, right? And then we back our claims up with proof. Now, we used the proof of this client that I was working with because she didn't have a personal brand. By the way, this client had like 0 followers when we started. And then like when this was launched, she probably had like 50 followers. But because the messaging was so strong, it performed so well. And now she's got huge amount of leads and a lot more followers, right? But she also had some credibility because she was a CEO. So it's how I became a CEO in my 20s and stayed there for 30 years. Now that is a massive achievement, right? What we could have also done here is used other clients and how other clients have used identity anchoring, because even though like this is a great result, it's still a biased perspective. So there will still be some skepticism here because it's like, okay, well, this worked for you, but why would this work for me? So you have to have unbiased perspective that your method works, right? And unbiased proof is like client testimonials, for example. So this also could have been, this is how XYZ client went from this to this, right? By first learning to lead myself, I was able to lead others authentically, inspire teams, and drive results, and still live a balanced and fulfilling life. So it's like still being able to do all these things, all of these desires, right? While still being able to have the desired result, right? Of like still having a balanced and fulfilling life. So it's breaking the beliefs. People often think that, oh, if I want to lead a team or be a massive leader in a company, I have to sacrifice my life. But this client is saying, no, you don't have to. You can still live a balanced and fulfilling life. So then we go into a call to action. We've mustered up enough emotion. We've created enough curiosity. If you're ready to lead this way, tap learn more to access the free training. So this was straight to a VSL for people to book in a call, which is what worked extremely well. So you can see the power of the right messaging. The actual creative itself, like the video, was very stock standard, like just very basic, home edited. There was jump cuts to keep engagement, but the power of the ad came through the messaging itself. So this is how you can like tap into cold audiences by speaking their language and talking to people who are already in the position where they're taking the actions that qualify them to buy your program. You're just introducing a better, superior way. So that is what I'm teaching with all of our clients, is how to do this for themselves. If you have like an online coaching or service-based business and you're struggling to crack ads, you're struggling to see progress and get qualified calls that turn into sales, DM me Biz on Instagram. Let's open up the conversation. I don't work with everyone, but we can see how we could potentially work together. Or if I can point you in a better direction, I will. So hopefully this was helpful. Go through all of my other content to understand more around the messaging and angles and ads and funnels and all these different things. And yeah, like, subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.